I want to show you how you can make a 3-yard work for a certain size quilt for a backing. I love this size, and so this backing I chose for my quilt that I'm quilting, and this is a Gigi that is 50 by 65, 50 inches wide, 65 inches long. So I thought right away my backing, a 3-yard of fabric, is going to be 108 inches long and then 42 whatever wide, selvage to selvage. But I always do my calculations with 40 as the width. So we have our quilt, which means 50 inches wide. I need my backing to be 58 wide, and then length, my quilt is 65, so it needs to be 73 inches. My first thought was I can take this and do 2 widths. So that means my quilt top or my backing will be 80 inches long, 2 times 40. But then if I cut this in half and just piece one seam across, it's only going to be 54 inches wide. Now I'm going to quilt this myself, so 4 inches leeway longer is pretty tight. I could make it work by just sewing like a strip of scrap to make it wider, just so I can put on my long arm and still be big enough. However, I looked at this fabric, and I'm going to show you. So I opened this fabric up, and even though it's not really directional, it has a little bit more of a defined direction. So I decided, okay, let me do the calculation again. And so what if I do 1.5 length? Now, what does that mean? So then I took my fabric, and cut the length that I needed for the backing, which is 73 inches. I cut 73 inches off, and then that means I have about 35 inches left. Now so 35 inches left. If I cut that on the fold and sew it end to end, it's only gonna give me about 70 inches. 35 plus 35 is 70, right? So what I did, I took that, I cut it on the fold, so the 35 inches cut on the fold, and then I just sewed a little strip of some scrap that I had so I can put my label in there, and so the other half on the bottom, and that way I was able to make it 73 inches long, no problem. And now I have a backing that is perfectly sized for my 65 inch long by 50 inch wide quilt. So guess what? Mr. HP is putting this on the long arm, and we're gonna get her quilted up. Halloween Gigi. Now when you're piecing backings, normally if I have short seams, I just press the seams in one direction. That's gonna give me a more secure seam. If anything pops, it's not gonna show batting through. So I did that on these short seams. And of course, anything that goes out to the edge, make sure you backstitch so you don't have to do a whole stitch around the whole outer edge. Now, this quilt backing is gonna have one seam across down the whole length, and sometimes I know long armers frown upon that because their seam is gonna bulk up, but this is such a short quilt, it's not a big quilt, so it really doesn't affect us. You will notice also here that I left the selvage on, and that can be left on or cut off. Here's when I don't cut it off. This case, it was really even kind of a tight tautness as the actual fabric, so I just left it on. It's also white, it's not gonna show through. Sometimes these selvages are gonna be really tight and taut because there's threads in here that are really tight. If you feel that and it's tauter than just the regular fabric, just cut it off. And then I press this seam open because that's all gonna bulk up here, so leaving it open, pressing it open is gonna help it. And of course, back stitch at the top and the end.